Hello, my name's Catherine. In today's video, I'm going to speak about my experience travelling New Zealand's North and South Islands with Kiwi Experience. I'm going to cover the main points like how it works, what bus pass I chose, where I went, what activities I did, and the sort of questions that I had myself before I went travelling. So first of all, what is Kiwi Experience? Kiwi Experience is a guided hop-on, hop-off tour bus across the North and South Islands of New Zealand. You can either do the hop-on, hop-off buses that I did, or you can choose a small group coach tour. I think most people tend to go for the hop-on, hop-off bus option because it's cost-effective, it provides a lot of experiences and activities, and there's so many different bus passes to choose from. And all of the drivers are local New Zealand Kiwis with lots of knowledge. I'm going to mostly speak about the hop-on, hop-off bus option as that's what I did with my sister. And there are a whole variety of bus passes on offer. So you can either do just the North Island, just the South Island, or different combinations of the two. The bus pass that we chose was the whole kit and caboodle, so that included North and South Island as well as the Milford Sound Explorer tour and going up to Cape Reinga and Bay of Islands area. We chose that pass because it included all destinations that we wanted to go to, and we wanted to cover as much ground as possible with the buses. And honestly, I couldn't recommend it enough. My sister and I have been wanting to go to New Zealand for years. We're 28, but it's something that we wanted to originally do for our 21st birthday, but life got in the way. So by the time we got to actually go, we were so ready, and this just took the stress out of planning the routes, planning the activities, planning the destination. It's if you know that you want to do like a big trip in New Zealand, but you don't want to worry about driving and planning the routes and all of like the logistics side of things. I found it really helpful because you could just get on the bus in the morning and you had your whole day planned effectively for you, and it was great. Choosing the pass that's best for you will depend on how much time you plan on spending in New Zealand, what sort of places that you want to visit, and what your budget is. A big thing on the website is the minimum time it takes to complete each bus route, and it really is a minimum. If you look at the guide of all the different passes available, each of them have a minimum. I think ours was a minimum 25 or 28, just checking my notes. We spent just over 6 weeks travelling across the North and South Island, and honestly, we could spend so much longer there. There are so many beautiful places in New Zealand, and you just might find that actually there's so many activities that you want to do in one place that you didn't expect. So yeah, or like us, sometimes the weather doesn't quite go to plan. New Zealand has a lot of different weather to contend with, so it gives you the option to be a little bit more flexible. I'm going to jump into the main questions that I had when I was planning my trip. So first of all, how much was it? We paid for our pass around 1,800 New Zealand dollars. I think we got an offer on it at the time, and there is so many offers quite often. It's well worth having a look at what sort of pass you want, and if you've got the time to wait a little bit, just keep checking back for discounts and offers. They've just had a St. Patrick's Day sale where they had discounts on a variety of the hop-on, hop-off passes, so it is worth going back and checking. But for the majority of the hop-on, hop-off bus passes, they are between 600 New Zealand dollars and 1,800 New Zealand dollars, and that includes your bus travel. I think it now includes a fee for crossing the ferry some of the passes, but that's definitely something to double check. It wasn't very expensive though to pay for that at the time either. It doesn't include accommodation, it doesn't include most activities, and it doesn't include anything like food. There are some free activities along the way, and that's mostly as you're driving along the route, the drivers will stop off at certain like scenic areas to go for a walk or take pictures or go and check out a waterfall. I found that really beneficial with having that sort of a tour guide effectively, because if my sister and I had decided to rent a van and drive around, we might not necessarily know about those places, because some of them is like local knowledge where one of the drivers is like, oh, this is one of my favourite waterfalls, and then they take you and you have a look, and it's great. So I mentioned briefly then other costs such as food and accommodation and activities. On the Kiwi Experience website, it recommends budgeting for 70 to 100 New Zealand dollars per day. I don't think a lot of people on our bus really stuck to their budget at all, because there's just so much to do, and you definitely get swept up in the excitement while you're there. Each day the drivers hand around a clipboard of activities that you can do with various different price points, and once you're with everybody on the bus, you start going, oh, are you going to do that today? Yeah, I'm thinking of doing that, and you just get swept up in it. So give yourself a healthy budget for activities where possible, and yeah, just be prepared to spend your money on doing lots of fun things. I know for a lot of people it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to do a big trip to New Zealand, so maybe save a little bit of extra for if you decide to be a bit spontaneous on the bus each day. Another cost that you have to factor in is your hostels. So you can book your hostels through Kiwi Experience on the coach. I think it's 48 hours in advance, but I would recommend booking in advance as much as possible, especially if you're going to travel in the summer, because it gets very busy. We booked some of our accommodation through the Kiwi buses in advance, and we booked some ahead for like busier areas where we knew that we wanted to stay for longer. You can use Hostelworld, hotels.com, booking.com, or look at the hostels websites directly as well. It's not always cheapest through Kiwi Experience, because sometimes there's offers on different sites, but it is worth booking in advance where possible and factoring in the costs for your hostels. Some of them are very affordable. We did a mixture of staying in the dorms and booking private rooms, because that's just what we wanted at the time, traveling as sisters. You also have to factor in the cost of cooking. A lot of the accommodations have really good kitchens on offer in the hostels, so you can cook for yourself and keep your budget a little bit smaller. But if you want to try and eat healthier, it is quite expensive for fruit and vegetables in New Zealand, or it was at the time when we were travelling, were expensive vegetables. For example, I was shocked that a punnet of grapes was around $12. I'm used to paying like £2 in the UK for a nice punnet of red seedless grapes. But yeah, it's something that you have to factor into your costs. And then if you're traveling with a group of people or you make friends on the bus, you can always make meals together to keep the costs down a little bit. But generally, we did spend quite a bit of money on cooking healthy meals for the two of us, and then snacks on the way. There's lots of nice food in New Zealand. The Kiwi bus drivers tend to stop at different supermarkets or convenience stores along the route, so that you can buy food to like fuel you for the day or to cook in the evenings. We loved Pack and Save. It's just so good. It's a bit like Costco and like sort of not. It's just a huge warehouse full of food, and they've got fresh food and like tins and like dry food as well, but it's just so good. It's like, I don't know, if you like supermarkets, I'm sure you'll enjoy Pack and Save. We also loved New World. It's a little bit more expensive and bougie, but we really enjoyed a walk around New World. And we were a big fan of Whittaker's chocolate. Oh my gosh, I ate so much Whittaker's chocolate while I was there. I really recommend the coconut one with little teeny tiny coconut pieces. Oh, I need to try and find that in the UK. Next question, what luggage can you bring? This was a big worry for me. I am a chronic overpacker. On the Kiwi buses, you are allowed to bring 23 kilograms of luggage, either a backpack or a suitcase, and then one personal day bag. This is because there can be up to 60 people travelling on a coach at a time, especially in the summer. There is limited space, so you want to be comfortable. And then as you go in, you end up with shopping bags of food that you have to cart around. So it is, as somebody that does not travel light, it is recommended to travel as light as you can. Especially sticking to the 23 kilograms for your bag where possible. This is especially important if you go in from the north to the south or south to the north islands on the ferries, because if you're checking the luggage, they have a 23 kilogram limit per item. So if you go over that limit, you have to purchase an extra bag and throw in some of your other bits, which unfortunately I did have to do because I did do a little bit of shopping while I was in New Zealand. I bought a very big coat. I was very cold, and yeah, I had to buy the little extra bag to put a few kilograms of my stuff in because it didn't quite fit. You live and you learn. Generally, I saw more people with big backpacks than I did with suitcases. I saw more suitcases travelling Australia on the Greyhound buses compared to on the Kiwi buses, although there were still a lot of wheelie cases. I actually started off with my 4-wheel trip hard case because it's just what I already owned, but there are a lot of hostels where you have to go up lots of stairs. There are a lot with gravel paths and gravel like parking areas where the coach will drop you off, so I was dragging that case through a lot of uneven terrain and it did get damaged, and I did end up buying a beautiful wheelie rucksack case duffel bag thing, and it served me very well for New Zealand and Australia. But yes, there's definitely more rucksacks than cases. So what should you pack for your trip? This really depends on what time of year you are planning to travel in New Zealand. We went in the springtime. Oh my gosh, it was way colder than we expected. Every single person that was on our coach was not expecting it to be as cold as it was, and I think a lot of us bought thermals and quite a lot of us bought puffer coats while we were there actually. It did snow quite a few times. We had rain, we had gorgeous sunny days too. Yeah, do your research for the weather and prepare for it to be slightly more extreme either way than you're expecting. Also prepare for all of the activities. I'm sure if you're planning a trip to New Zealand, you know about the gorgeous scenery, you know about all the hiking and sporting activities that you can do. So buy in and bring in appropriate footwear is highly recommended, especially when you're traveling on the coach. You want to be comfortable. You want to be comfortable on that coach, especially when the driver stops and he goes, right, let's all get off and go for a 1-hour hike. You need to really be in appropriate clothing for walking with appropriate footwear. I brought trainers, sandals and walking boots to see me through each day. And there were some days where we got absolutely soaked on our bus walks. So we then got back onto the coach and everybody was drying off their clothes and their layers like on the backs of chairs and in the aisles, because even though like a lot of us were prepared with our waterproofs, we just weren't a match for the New Zealand rain. We'll travel on the Kiwi Experience buses. When we were planning our trip, we were worried that we would be the oldest on the bus at 28. That definitely wasn't the case. The Kiwi Experience website recommends that most travellers are between the ages of 18 and 35 on average, and you have to be 18 or over to travel on the buses. We did meet some people in their 40s and even in their late 60s using the bus. I think there is a little bit of a reputation that the Kiwi Experience bus is a party bus. I know some people have called it the big green F bus, and in our experience, it wasn't necessarily like that. There are opportunities to drink and party and socialise. There's lots of places where you stop with a good nightlife, but generally the majority of people on that bus were just there to enjoy New Zealand. Not everybody's outgoing, like party types. You got everyone from different backgrounds, honestly. Quiet people, loud people, shy people, whatever. All different interests, all different backgrounds, and honestly, I think everybody's just there to enjoy themselves and enjoy New Zealand. So we found all of our buses to be really friendly, and we made loads of really nice friends on the way that we are still in contact with now. As well as that, my sister and I travelled together as a pair. We did meet other twins travelling together and other sibling groups travelling together. There were lots of solo travellers. Probably the majority on our buses were solo travellers that made friends with other people along the way. We met couples, we met cousins, all sorts, friend groups that were travelling together. There's all sorts of people on the bus. And I think don't be put off if you're travelling on your own, or if you're travelling in a little group. You will still find your place within the bus. One of the big worries for me before travelling was, what were the buses going to be like? There's a lot of long journeys, so I was a little bit worried about being uncomfortable, about needing to use the toilet, just general travel anxieties like that. There's nothing worse than being on a coach full of people and then thinking, oh my gosh, I need a wee. Like, I'm sorry, I know a lot of us worry about things like that, but it was a worry for me. The coaches are big green coaches that seat up to 60 people, I think. They don't have toilets on them, and a lot of them say that they have Wi-Fi, but I don't think a single one of our buses had Wi-Fi. They are generally very comfortable, and there's enough space. You've got the storage above you for your day bags and the storage below for the cases. We found them to be quite comfortable. I was a little bit worried when I realised that there wasn't a toilet on board like the Greyhound buses in Australia, even though it's not something that I necessarily want to use, but sometimes if you really need a wee, it's just nice to know that it's there. But I would say that the drivers were really accommodating for things like that. It's not something that you have to worry about. There's loads of toilet breaks, there's loads of comfort breaks so you can get refreshments. And if you suddenly feel like you need to stop or anything like that, I don't think any of the drivers would stop you. They were so friendly, so kind, and yeah, they're just very accommodating. They've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of travellers, so they know people need to stop, people need to stretch their legs, they need to get snacks and refreshments, and they need to use the toilets. So yeah, I found them to be quite comfortable. We never had a full bus while we were travelling. I think probably the fullest our bus got was like to 80% as we were getting closer to Queenstown. But yeah, we were always quite comfortable travelling in the spring. I've heard that the buses are very full in the summer, but they tend to put on more buses throughout the routes at one time. So there's just a lot more going to make it more comfortable and so that you have more options. So what is the accommodation like? Whilst travelling with Kiwi Experience, they are partnered with a number of different hostels along the routes. They have them as the recommendation to stay with, and that is mostly based on their relationship that they've had with the hostels over their years of operating, as well as them being the places where they usually stop to drop off the passengers and pick them up in the morning. And you can book your first night through Kiwi Experience through your drivers. Most of the hostels were really comfortable. Since the pandemic, there's been a lot of hostel closures. There are generally less on offer compared to before the pandemic. But we didn't have any issues. We found that if we booked in advance, we were always comfortable. And yeah, we didn't have any problems. There was one hostel that we did not like and we didn't stay in, which was Nomads in Wellington. Hopefully they've made it better since we were there, but they had a lot of issues with the bathrooms when we were there, and yeah, we just weren't into it. We decided to check out after the first night and we moved to a hotel because we just weren't, no, we didn't want to stay there. But That's not to say that it's not better now. It might have just been our unfortunate luck when we were there. Where possible, my sister and I booked to stay in private twin rooms, just because like sometimes it can feel like a lot being on the buses all day with lots of different people, so it's nice to have a bit of privacy to just decompress in. But we did also stay in the mixed dorms or female dorms in certain places too. You can choose when you're booking your accommodation through the buses to be roomed with like friends that you've made on the way, or if you're traveling with someone in particular, they always try to like make your request possible. It is recommended to book your accommodation in advance, especially in the summer and especially in busier places like Queenstown, because there are a lot of people going there, loads of tourists, so you just don't want to be disappointed. Then what sort of activities are there? Honestly, there is so much to do in New Zealand. There's hiking, sporting activities, things like skydiving and bungee and swings, whitewater rafting. I would just highly recommend embracing as many activities as you can while you're there. I am a bit of a scaredy cat. The bungee jump was actually invented in New Zealand, and did I bungee? No, I did not. Maybe I will one day. No, I think I'm lying to myself. I don't think I will. But I was always flat out against the idea of doing a skydive. But along my whole route over 6 weeks, I saw so many people go up and do the skydive, have an amazing experience, and they came back alive, which is a big fear for me. So I think I've warmed to the idea of doing a skydive. I didn't do it this time, but maybe in the future I will. There's just so much to do, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. There are certain seasonal activities that are on offer in some areas, like surfing and snorkeling. You can swim with dolphins, you can go kayaking. There's just so much to do, and we made so many amazing memories. If you're a bit unsure about if Kiwi Experience is the correct option for you, I would definitely recommend looking at the website, having a proper dig into the frequently asked questions and all of the information that they've got on offer. There's loads of people on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram that post little daily vlogs of their experiences, and I think I did it based on recommendation from one of my best friend's boyfriends. He did it years ago and had an amazing experience, and I'm just so glad that we did it. It took all the stress out of planning how to get around the island, and there was just so many activities on offer that we just made the most of our trip and had the best experience, and we met so many amazing people on the way. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to share some of my pictures and footage from the amazing places that I went to throughout my 6 and a bit weeks traveling New Zealand. I hope you enjoy them. watching my video. I hope you got all the answers that you needed. I had an amazing time traveling New Zealand. I would definitely go back, and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.